Hey there, welcome back to our channel. Let's continue with our series where we left earlier. In the previous episode, we have seen how we can create the Elastic Beanstalk application in our AWS console. So today we are going to set up everything and we are going to prepare our application for deployment. So for a while, what we're going to do, let's try to open our terminal, right? So here, we have our AWS access key and ID, right? So this is what we need to set it up, right? But before that, we need to install the AWS CLI as well. So first of all, we need to install the AWS CLI. To install the AWS CLI, you can search in the Google or you can directly land it to doc.aws.com/CLI latest user guide / the getting started install.html. This link also you can visit, right? So once you visit this link, you can see there are different steps per CLI installations for different operating system. You can just visit one of them apart from your whatever machines you are using. So in my case, I'm using Mac OS X and I can directly install this particular package, all right? So once you download this package, then double click right there, then it'll start installing accordingly. Otherwise, with the help of brew also you can use. So in my case, already I have been used this CLI. And if I will be going to our terminal, let's go to our source code once again. In the terminal, if it is installed successfully your AWS CLI, then you can type this AWS -- version maybe, yeah, you can see my version is this one. Perfect. So now let's try to configure this access key and access key ID and AWS secret access. So let's try to do that one. So I'm gonna clean the console first. Then we are going to say AWS configure, and this is the access key that is I have been used for my some other project. So let's try to use this access key for a while, right? Use this access key here, then press enter. Then it will going to ask for the AWS secret access. So this one also we need to add it right there, right? Perfect. So it will going to ask the region name. So in my case, I'm using the EU Central one. This is perfect for me. And the default output format, I'm comfortable with that. So that's why. Or if you are if you can see some different format is showing right there, you can just simply type JSON, right? To test it out whether our AWS configurations are set up correctly or not, you can directly type AWS S3, let's say S3 ls, right? So it will going to give you the list of all the buckets, whatever it is right there inside your AWS account. So you can see these are the buckets are available in my AWS account. So cool. So our AWS configurations are correct, right? So now what we are going to do, let's go to our AWS console once again. So here, we need to install the Elastic Beanstalk CLI as well. So in this case, if you are using Mac, then definitely you can use the homebrew, right? So in my case, I have used the brew update and I have installed the brew. There are few deployment I'm just using with the help of the Elastic Beanstalk. So that's why I have already set up this. So if you have not done, then go ahead and do it accordingly. And if you are using different operating system, then you can visit this part of the installation guide right from the manual installation. Or they have a kind of configured automatic installation also there. Then please visit this install Elastic Beanstalk CLI. So here you will get everything. Cool. So I'm gonna close all of the pages here, and you can see meanwhile our application also our Elastic Beanstalk application also it's ready, right? So by default, it will going to give you some kind of sample application. If you're going to click on this domain name, right? Click right here. You can see very nice running application right there. You can say congratulations, your first AWS Elastic Beanstalk application is now running. Cool. So this is what we don't want, right? So we want to deploy our own Go application. So that is what we are going to do, right? So let's go ahead here. Let's go back to our source code once again, right? So here, inside this source code, right, inside this terminal, what we are going to do, first of all, we'll be going to make some couple of changes in terms of, first of all, the main file. This main.go is not going to be main anymore. While you are going to deploy this application in Elastic Beanstalk, you need to rename this main.go as a kind of application.go, right? So let's try to do that. Rename, refactor, and rename application.go, right? Now we have renamed our main.go as a kind of application.go. So make sure you are going to change these things in the makefile as well as, otherwise our application will be not run in our local machine. So this is going to be our application.go, right? Perfect. So now let's try to spin our application, make server, right? So it is still spinning, right? Cool. Perfect. It's a good sign. So now what we are going to do, we are going to set up our Elastic Beanstalk. To set up our Elastic Beanstalk, what we need to do, we need to create one directory right here, right? Inside the application. That is called .elastic beanstalk. That can be manually, we can also create, but rather than create the manually, because already we have one application created here in console, this is the application we are going to inherit and we are going to use that to deploy from our source code, all right? So to do that, what we are going to do, first of all, let's check it out, which version of the Elastic Beanstalk we have installed. EB version, all right? So you can see this is the Elastic Beanstalk CLI we have been installed. So that means like, perfectly we can communicate from here. So first command will be eb init, right? Right. So it will ask you a couple of questions like which region you want to keep it as a kind of default region. So it says default is 3. If you go to here and you can see US West is a kind of this number 3. This is a kind of like default region right now. It is getting selected. But in my case, I'm sitting right here in Frankfurt, let's say, right? So here, this will be my default region. So let's try to set it up to pipe, right? So make sure like this value is correct, right? Pipe EU Central 1. Cool. So now my region is the EU Central. This is pipe, and you can see like already we have two applications. Either we can use the existing one, or we can just create a new one as well. So why we have just created right here in the console, because I want to show you like how these things can be doable or configurable by going to the UI as well, rather than going to here in the console. If you could have done in the console, you could have had a lot of questions, all right? So why we are selecting this one or that one, where the security group is coming from, something like that. So that's why we just created everything and manually right here in the UI, just to show you like what are the things maybe we need to consider. So in Pusar you can directly create right here from the console, because like what is security group and which instance and what are the things you need to consider, why these like the key pair is needed, something like that, right? So in our case right now, default is getting selected too, but right now we are going to select 1. Then it is going to ask you like which deployment you can use, like maybe code commit or something, but in our case we are not going to use the code commit. We are going to push our code to GitHub, right? So GitHub will be responsible for deploying the code, right? So you and your coworker both can submit the code in the same repository, same project, and we can have like all of the deployment together, right? So let's try to use the no, right? Then we are done, right? So if you close this window right here, and if you see right inside this project, you can see like .elastic beanstalk directory has been created, right? And you can see there is a kind of configuration file as well as. So this is our configuration file where we have our environment name, right? And this is our application name. And this is the default platform that is we have selected. And this is the region we have done right there. And these are a couple of configurations they're providing from by default from Elastic Beanstalk configuration. So this is really cool. Like right now we can go ahead and deploy our application. But before that, what we need to do, because our application is having some of the environment variables, right? As an example, the app env, server port, or these are the Twilio, the secrets, all right, the Stripe secret, pub key, or all those things, right? So all those things we need to onboard first. So let's go to the env first. So here we are going to construct one command that is going to be help us to assign the environment variable. So where these environment variables are lived actually. So if you go to the Elastic Beanstalk application, you can see, right? Go to application, you can see this is our application. If you get inside the application, you can see this is our environment. Environment, as I said, environment can be multiple, right? This is a kind of application, is a kind of big container. Inside the big container, we can have different small containers as well as, or maybe you can say it's a kind of just like your computer, one single machine, right? With some sort of GPU, CPU, and etc. And inside that the machine, you can have a different containers also, just like Docker container we have. The similar way, it is a kind of directory that is handling all these environments. You can create as many as environment like as you like. You can see the similar kind of configurations we have. So now let's go back here inside the application, select the application. You can see if you select one of the environment right here, right? And here in this environment, if you see this configuration, if you scroll all the way down, right? Yeah, here, you can see we can have the environment like keys and a property, right? So right now we don't have anything right there because this is a kind of sample application, and sample application will be not having any kind of environment properties. So those environment properties, we are going to set it up and it will going to store right here. So let's try to do that one. So here what we are going to do, we are going to construct one thing that is, this is called EB, right? EB is set env, right? And we will be saying app port, right? So app port will be our prod. This is going to be our production, because you can see if we are going to spin our application, then the app env, if it is development, right, then it will load our local.this.env file. That is what we are not expecting, right? So we are expecting it should not supposed to load from this .env file. It should have to load from the operating system itself, right? Then if we are getting all these things from operating system itself, right, from that particular host machine, then definitely we need to provide all these variables. So this is what we are doing right here. You can see app env is a prod, right, and server port is a kind of local host 5000. So while we are going to deploy our application in Elastic Beanstalk, so we need to define a kind of certain port, right? So this is going to be localhost 5000. So each environment is running for certain port while we are selecting our service as a kind of Go, right? Go application. So, and this is our app secret. This is like, very normal app secret. You can say app underscore 1 2 3 4. You can assign accordingly, right? And per host, the database host, let's go here in the table plus, and here we can just like close this one for a while, and let's try to click on this one, the connection, and click on edit, and we can grab this host name from here, right? And let's just copy this one from here, and let's go to again to the source code. So here, instead of this host, right, we can directly use this one. So I have a kind of you can say placeholder in my ID. That's why while I'm just start typing, I just try to give as much as like what exactly I'm expecting accordingly. Maybe somehow I have configured these things in my IDE. That's why it is giving appropriately. DB port is 5432 and database name is our Go e-commerce. Go e-commerce. And DB user also Go e-commerce. And DB password, we can just like copy this DB password from here, right? And edit right there. That's all for this environment, right? So now let's grab these things from here, right? Maybe for better readability, I can just like close this panel from here. You can see like what exactly it's right there. So we are setting EB like Elastic Beanstalk. Set env is a kind of command. So what are the env we are setting it up? App env is a kind of prod, and the server port is a localhost 5000. App secret is like some kind of secret, right? Randomly we are generating or maybe giving right here. And DB host is that host we are copying it from our RDS host, right? That is already we have connected right here in the table plus, right? Let's try to connect once again, right? So we can see the live changes. And here in the DB port is the 5432, right? And DB name is the Go e-commerce. That is we have been already copied here. You can see the DB name, right? Not this one I think, right? This one. This is the same exactly. So right now, DB user also gonna be same, and DB password that is already we have been copied here, right? This one, right? So make sure all the credentials are same, otherwise our application will not be able to connect, right? So now let's grab a whole piece of code from here, right? This particular code, and every time you no need to copy, you no need to assign all these codes from here, because we are going to add all these things in GitHub. We are going to deploy these things from our local machine first. That's why we need this the environment variable first. So I'm going to copy this one, and let's try to open our terminal, and let's try to paste it here, right? So make sure like there are no any spaces, right? So oops, we have some issues here. So you can see like DB password is no match found for DB password. why this kind of errors are happening. So this kind of errors are happening while we are having the hash key, all right? At least this keyword in while we're just try to execute in any kind of like shell or maybe SSH command, then it is having the issue. So somehow we need to escape it, or maybe we need to change the password. So there are no many ways to directly we can escape it here. So what we can do, let's go to our AWS console, and here if we are going to the RDS, right? So let's go to RDS and DB instance. So here in the DB instance, we are going to select this one, and let's click on the modify. And here we're going to set our database like password. All right, so here what we are going to do, we're going to generate some kind of password. But in case we can give our password as well as, or maybe we can just like rely on the auto generate password, right? So once this is done, then it will show the password like once the generation are done. So let's click on the auto generate password. So then it will suggest some good password for us, right? Now let's go all the way down and click on the continue, right? And click on the modify, right? So here, so you can see this is the master password. Right now we don't have any hash value right here. Let's copy this one first, copy, and let's go to our the code editor here. We can add this password here directly, all right? So my password generator actually does that particular thing. That's why actually we have to do this one. So make sure we don't have this kind of hash or some special character that is going to be sometimes a little bit chaotic. Cool. So let's try to use this one here as well as, right? And let's go to our AWS console. Make sure we are hitting the modify DB instance, right? So it'll going to take a little bit time to come up together, but meanwhile, just like everything is ready. Let's try to copy once again this whole line. We are going to clear the console. And this time also we are going to do update, right? Let's try to do this one. Perfect. So you can see like all the environments are correctly right now updated, right? So if we go to our AWS console right here, right? Let's go to our AWS console. Let's go to our Elastic Beanstalk here, right? And now if we select this environment, right? And if you select to go to the configuration page, and you can see all the way down right here, it is getting loaded right there. And you can see everything is listed correctly, all right? So this is our server port, and this is our DB user, port number, DB password, and this is our DB name. This is our host and some kind of like app secret we have added, and environment is production. Cool. So now our application is perfectly ready, right? Perfect. So now let's go to our application. So we are going to deploy our application, but you can see here we are terminating our application. So we are not going to terminate our application, though we are not going to have any kind of environment variable. Still, we are going to let it run, right? So let's try to do that. So we can say printf instead of pedal. We are saying printf, right? And the similar, if you can see on the type of start, like let's this one. Definitely, this is a kind of a pedal error where if it is not be able to connect to database, then doesn't make sense to go move forward, right? And but this one also, like if it is not be able to migrate, then this is going to be for a kind of big issue. So this kind of stuff maybe we can keep it, but for environment variable, it's not a problem at all, because anyway we are going to provide it, right? So let's try to close everything, all the files. We're going to close all the tabs. Right now, all the environments are there. Let's try to deploy our application. So we can say EB deploy, right? It may take a couple of minutes, all right? So feel free to grab a cup of coffee and come back. Like meanwhile, maybe it will be going to deploy quickly. Perfect. So now can you see it is deployed successfully, right? So there are no any issues, right? So again, if you go to the console, then you can see successfully deployed, right? If you go to environment, and right now you can see it is green, right? And if you go to the Go environment right here, and you can, if you visit this domain name right there, and instead of welcome, maybe it should have to come something else, all right? So let's try to refresh. Can you see it is spinning our application from there, right? Cool. Now the second part, what we are going to do, we're going to set up the application from our GitHub, all right? So let's go to our GitHub, github.com. Then here what we're going to do, we're going to create a kind of new repository here. And this repository, I'm going to keep it just like go tutorial private deployment, let's say. private deployment, right? So this is what we are going to do. And this is going to be private repository. Let's try to create this repository here, right? So now I'm going to set this origin because right now my source code is it is pointed to the public repository. We are going to say git set git remote set origin set URL, right? So origin, we can just like put this one, right? So now our repository is pointed to the to this newly created repository, right? So let's try to git add everything, right? Whatever we have added right there, and make sure if you go to the git ignore, right, then there are a couple of things it is already added right there. So these things exactly we need to keep push, all right? Because if we are deploying all these things from the Elastic Beanstalk, right, in the GitHub, then definitely it will not going to push this all this directory, all these files to GitHub. So these are the things are needed because we are not keeping any kind of configurations right there, only our application and environment right there. And feel free to use some kind of like maybe tools also. It is available in GitHub Marketplace where you can directly spin the your Go application in Elastic Beanstalk. But in this case, like in monolithic application, most of the time people are deploying the application in a standalone machine in terms of EC2 or maybe Elastic Beanstalk. That's why we are just like showing the way how we can deploy the project on AWS, right? So let's try to remove all these things, and we're good right now. And what we can do right now, let's try to commit everything. Git add and git commit m. Preparing for deployment, right? Now let's try to push this code, right? Our code is pushed to our newly created repository. If you go and refresh this repository, then you can see like all the files are here, right? So we have the Elastic Beanstalk as well as, and we have all the config file and everything, right? So definitely we are not committing the .env file. So right now, few things we need to do, right? So the way we did right there, right? If you go and see this .env file, and if you see here, these secrets, all right? So all these secrets we need to add it right there. The way we are going to add, first of all, the server port is fine, app secret is also fine, DB host, right? Let's go there and add the DB host first. So here, go to settings, right? And here, inside this secret and variables, right? Inside the security, and click on the actions. And here we are going to add this DB, right? DB host. And then DB host will come from where? It will come from directly from there, as well as like, maybe from the source code, we can directly grab it. This is our DB host, right? Copy this one and go here and add it. So make sure there are no any space before the secret and after the secret as well as. So add the secret. Now host is added. Right. So all the things are done right there. So right now what we are going to do, we are going to hit the action, and from here we will be going to pick up something, right? So we're going to set up one workflow there, right? Just to click on the set up a workflow yourself, right? And here we are going to add a couple of lines. I don't want to make you bored by typing all of this stuff, right? So I have already shared the file content in the description below. You can go ahead and copy all the file contents and you can add it by your own, right? So here we are going to add all of the contents, and I'm going to explain like what exactly we are doing right here. We can see like this is the name of the pipeline, right? And workflow dispatch is going to help you to manually run this particular workflow whenever it is needed. And push branches means like while we are going to push the source code to the this main branch, then this workflow will be run, right? So this is going to be like one kind of event, you can say. The on is a kind of event. This event will be listened to like while we are going to run manually and while we are going to push the code to the main branch. And these are a couple of jobs. We'll build on the Ubuntu latest. This is the operating system where this pipeline, this workflow will going to be run. And this is the first step where we are going to check it out to version 3. Here we are configuring our AWS credential. So here we can see our secret AWS key ID, that is we have added right there, and AWS access, this is key. So let's try to remove this one, AWS secret access. So this is the additional thing we are doing right here. We are installing the AWS Elastic Beanstalk CLI, right? So this is what we are doing. And finally, we are setting up the environment. So first of all, this similar way we have just added right there in our application terminal. Just like set env, app env will be production, right? Prod, and server port will be this one, and secret will be like app secret. Maybe we can just do one thing. This app secret, maybe we can add it in our here, right? In the secret, or maybe for a while we can provide just like app 1, 2, 4, 5. But it is suggested to keep it right there in the pipeline. So let's try to do that one, right? So this app secret, we can just keep it here. Let's go to another window, right? So let's try to add it quickly. Secret, action, and new repository secret, right? This is going to be app secret, like going to be my app secret 1, 2, 3, right? So add secret. So this is going to help us to sign the ZWT token, right? And now again, let's go here. DB host is the same, right? This is the DB host, right? So make sure like DB host, the key is same, and the DB port number is perfectly fine. There's nothing to hide. DB name is, that is we have added there. DB user also, and password also we have added. So it looks like everything is good. And finally we are deploying the EB deploy, because this EB Elastic Beanstalk CLI already we have been installed right here with the help of pip, right? So let's try to commit these changes for a while, right? Commit these changes, right? And we are saying edit automatic on push domain, right? Perfect. So let's try to commit these changes. As soon as you are committing the changes, you can see like it will be start spinning, but I think it is start spinning, right? Yeah, cool. So you can keep looking the steps right here. If you click on the build, then you will be seeing here whatever the steps are going through, right? So sometimes it is giving some error, like if there are any kind of errors are happening, then you need to fix it accordingly. And if like I'm saying finger crossed, like everything will go correctly, all right? So let's wait for a couple of minutes to spin the environment stuff to update first, so then it will going to deploy the real application. So at any point of time, if you're going to change the environment variables, then you can go ahead and add it right there. So you can utilize in your application. And all the environment variables will be available right here in the application section. As I said here, go to configurations. You can see all the way down here, it will going to reflect right here, right? So you can see we have added right there the new secret already been updated, my app secret 1, 2, 3, right? And it is still spinning the set env variable stage, because I'm running on the free version of the GitHub, so that's why actually it is not giving me a good machine in terms of like the speedy one. But if you are already in the paid version, then this pipeline will not take much more long, right? So it is going to be like in a spin too fast. Cool. So just wait for a couple of more minutes, then we can have a kind of round of test right there, and then we will be going to push the code by making some changes. Then we will after that maybe we can just hook up our this remote URL with the front end to test it out. But I'm leaving up to you. You have all this flexibility right now to do that thing. Perfect. So can you see right now the application is deployed correctly, right? Environment updated successfully, and everything is just went through. So now if you go to the Elastic Beanstalk console, right? So if you refresh the application, you can see it is go to application here, maybe application, then here in environment, right? You can see the screen, right? And if you go to domain again, once again, it is like it's saying it's healthy, right? So let's go ahead to the source code once again, right? So here, I'm going to close everything from here. In the source code, what we are going to do, we're going to do a little bit minor changes, and we can check like whether automatic development is happening or not, right? So in this case, I'm going to pull the current changes that is already I have done in the GitHub manually, right? Let's git pull, right? So now my branch is up to date, because I have already edited some kind of configuration in my IDE to patch the updated changes from the GitHub, because already I'm in the main branch, that's why. So now what we can do, you can see right now the GitHub directory also it is going to display right here, and we have the main file as well as, right? So here we will go to the start server, and we will do a little bit minor changes, so at least we can identify, like, you know, our changes are getting deployed automatically. So we can say I am healthy, right? And status okay with 200, right? Status code, right? And you can see the success response is already returning the status 200, right? So this is cool. So let's go ahead and submit this code, right? Git add and git commit automatic deployment testing. So this is like the commit message, let's say, right? So we can say git push, right? Cool. So now if we go to our GitHub, right? So let's go here, and if you click on the action, and you should supposed to, yeah, can you see it is started deploying? And as soon as it is deployed successfully, all right, then this build will become green, or maybe you can just like check the details, like what is going on inside. You can check the activities as well as, right? So let's wait for just like a couple of minutes maybe. Perfect. So now you can see our build is deployed successfully, right? So this is becoming the blue color, and you can see there are like we can see the successful message right here as well as, and here as well as. So everything is cool. So let's go to our console once again. You can see here in the application, go to once again to the environment, and let's click on this domain name, right? Now we can see our changes are reflecting here. Okay, with the status code 200, and it says I am healthy. All right, so this is the time where we are going to create our first user. And if you see in the database, let's go to the database and let's try to connect in, or maybe refresh this whole database. You should be able to see the changes right here, right? And as you can see, all the tables are created automatically, right? Now let's go to our Postman, and here this base URL, we're going to set it up right there, right? So this is going to be our base URL, right? Let's save it. And we can say sign up, right? So this is actually we are doing from our local machine, and this time we are going to do this in our Elastic Beanstalk. Can you see this base URL is just like this, right? This is our Elastic Beanstalk base URL. Let's try to do register. Can you see it is giving the token, right? So I didn't see these changes. Maybe maybe it's my problem, like visually. Let's do it again once more, maybe. Yeah, it says error on sign up, right? So it's going to be like because it's a kind of error, like, you know, you cannot again do the sign up, all right? So let's try to do login, right? Now can you see its login is giving the token, right? So where maybe we can just continue for the user verification and all. So if you see the user verification right here, then definitely you need to provide the API key for our Twilio and etc. Right? So I hope like you have enjoyed this video tutorial, whole series. Like we have covered everything, whatever it is possible throughout of the time. I know it was a really very long series, and so this is going to be like, you know, end of this like whole series wrapping up episode. In the next series, we are going to, like in a part 2, where we're going to release very soon with the microservice stuff. So I'm just like try to finish the recording of all the episodes. So you people no need to wait for one by one all of the episodes. Where there are a lot of fun gonna happen, like where I have covered a lot of topics in terms of how we can split it up the monolithic to microservice, and what are the edge cases we need to cover. As an example, the communication pattern with the help of Kafka, with the help of like, you know, RPC, gRPC. And we have used the Elasticsearch as well as right there, and partially we have covered the GraphQL part as well as, and finally we have deployed everything in Kubernetes cluster along with the front end. So where we set up the API gateway and how we can interact with all of the stuff. Like it's really going to be very advanced topic. So I that's why actually I have not conjugate everything together in this series. So microservice series is a kind of 2-part. The first part is this series, how we are going to build the whole e-commerce application in monolithic. And then in the second part, how we are going to deconstruct this whole series, this part, this monolithic application to break down to a microservice, right? Definitely we are going to release these things very soon in YouTube as well as, but as of now, this series will be available on our online learning platform, the codewithjay.com. And if you're a member right there, then you'll be able to access this series right there as well. Cool. All right, then thank you so much for your time and consideration. I hope like throughout this series, you have learned a lot. I'm feeling very happy. At least I'm trying my best to share some knowledge with you. So with the help of this knowledge, maybe you can start a kind of Go developer job in around the world anywhere. And there are a lot of advanced topics also there in the internet. Go for it and study all of this stuff, and maybe do a little bit R&D. What are the good ways, good pattern maybe you can follow. I'm not saying like, my tutorials or my contents are always good. There are a lot of smart people, or there are a lot of good people out there who are providing like a lot of very useful and very good content, right? All right, then thank you so much for being with me so far. And I would like to see you in our next phase in the microservice series. Thank you. Bye-bye.